Okay, bear with me here. I'm tired. It's been a long day, and I just double featured the movies I'm about to talk about. Um, a couple years ago, I found out that they remade Terror Train like Tubi did, and apparently the same year they made a sequel. They made them back to back. I had never seen these before, so I thought I'd check them out. And I guess before going into that, let me talk about the original Terror Train. Growing up, that was like a video staple. We rented that one a lot. I think one of the more forgotten Jamie Lee Curtis horror films of the 80s. Because everybody mentions like Halloween 1 and 2, and they mention Prom Night. But Terror Train always seems to be left out, which I think is unfair. Because Terror Train to me is way better than Prom Night is. It has a way more unique concept, uh, a better plot, and just overall just a more interesting movie. Um, the the magic aspect of David Copperfield's character really mixes well with the tone of mystery in the film, like who the killer is, because he keeps switching costumes. And once you find the reveal of the killer, which I'll get into later when I talk about the remake, um, really, really does well together and combines very well. And it's something that was unique and still to me is very unique. And especially, I don't remember if they actually shot on a train or they did a soundstage. They probably did a soundstage. But the way that it was shot made it feel like it was on a train. Like you felt like you were on the train with them. With the very underrated cinematography of that movie, it was beautiful. And the characters were a good combination of like, they were kind of assholes, but they were kind of likable. And also, again, Jamie Lee being a strong lead, and her just dealing with all the shenanigans. She's tired of it. Um, it was very good. It's still easily just a very quiet slasher movie. It says what it's got to say, it's got to get out, but it does it in a very unique way. Now, going into the remake, it's basically a carbon copy of the original, except when it comes to the ending, and I'll get to that. The setup is the same with the nerdy kid that wants to belong. They trick him into making out with the corpse, and they use the lead, which in the original is Jamie Lee Curtis. In this one, it's a no name, and tricks him into making out with the corpse. It makes him insane. Years later, they arrive on a train, which in the remake it is a Halloween party. In the original, it was a New Year's party to just party it out and have fun. And then people start getting killed off one by one with the changing of the costume to hide the identity of the killer. Um, like it is shot for shot at times. I know the dialogue's different because they didn't talk about certain subject matters in the original, but it was just it's hard to talk about this movie except only to mention the ending because it's very carbon copy. There's a little bit more blood in it, but the original wasn't even a blood fest. It was way more subtle than that. It was like a murder mystery more than like a slasher. Um, this was definitely played more as a slasher, and it's just, I mean, I'll just. It's just carbon copy until the ending. I'm just gonna go ahead and spoil this. The character of Kenny, because each movie shared the same character names, so nothing's different. The Kenny in the new version, he's actually not the killer. It's his mother who is the conductor on the train. The Ben Johnson role, which is now a woman. She is the she is Kenny's mother, and she is seeking revenge because they made Kenny go insane. Very much a Friday the 13th esque twist. Which it is kind of funny because the Bill Johnson role is now played by Mary Welsh, who I thought I knew her, but I guess I'm thinking of somebody else. Looked at her IMDb and nothing stuck out to me. But she does look like the female version of Ben Johnson, which is kind of humorous. I think I mentioned that to my mom when we were watching it. It was, so that was good casting actually. Um, but the reveal of that's so stupid, and then she gets CGI'd out the train onto the tracks. Now, what made the original, to me, very memorable is the fact that the guy who plays Kenny was an actual drag queen in real life, and he ended, Kenny was the assistant of David Copperfield in the original. And the way that it showed that he can even hide the identity of his gender in plain sight really shows how good he was at this mystique, almost better than David Copperfield's mystique in Magic. And his death was very satisfying in the way that he gets pushed out the train, he hits that frozen river, and bam, ending. That was way more impactful than like a Friday the 13th ripoff ending. Because to me, if you're going to go ahead and rip off 90% of the movie, why not the other 10%? I know you wanted to stick out and do your own thing, but when you're just blatantly ripping off a more popular slasher series than your own, then there's troubles there. And also, one thing that I had an issue with was the magician in this movie. Like I've said a couple times already, David Copperfield was the magician in this film. And he was actually doing magic tricks. They got him to do literal magic tricks in front of the camera. And that added to the charm and like this eerie kind of tone about the movie. Again, going to the mystery of it. Like, the magic tricks kind of with the mystery mixed in, it complement each other very well. And then you get to this one, and he's kind of like a shittier, like Chris Angel type one. That like, oh, I cut my arm off. Oh, I decapitated somebody. Oh, it's like kind of like a shock kind of thing. And he's not really a magician. He's just kind of an actor that does bit parts here and there. And it just almost felt like it was mandatory to put the magician in there just because it was in the original. But he really didn't have a purpose. Like, nothing of his character like would have served the plot any differently if he was like, instead of a magician, if he was a stripper, or a dancer or the DJ. Like, nothing in the plot would have changed, where if you changed the role of David Copperfield's thing, it would have totally messed with the tone and the just everything about that movie. So basically you're just kind of watching a shittier version of a really good movie, a really underrated movie in my opinion. I think Terror Train's incredibly underrated for the time. And then you get to this one and it's a carbon copy remake, but it's just done poorly and then with a stupid ending. I don't really know who this is supposed to appeal to. Really, I guess people that haven't seen the original Terror Train, but the funny thing is, Tubi has the original Terror Train on their platform. So, you can go back and watch the original. Or maybe people that don't want to watch old horror movies would like this. I don't know. Because I didn't want to spend my time with insufferable characters, stupid douchebags, and just regurgitated shit of stuff I've seen done much better before. Again, I'm not really irritated at this movie. I just thought it was bland. I was bored during it. And, like, if you're going to do a remake, do something different. Don't keep reminding me of a better movie inside your shitty movie. But that's really all I got to say about Terror Train 2022. Now, I'm going to take a break real quick, and when I come back, I'm going to talk about Terror Train 2, also in 2022. So going into Terror Train 2, I really generally thought things could only go up from here because this is not based on anything because the original Terror Train never had a sequel. So now they can kind of expand and do their own thing without a blueprint. So it could either get better from here or worse from here. Um, the second one's a mixed bag. It's very, very much a mixed bag for me. And my tolerance for like mediocre kind of schlocky slasher films in general, mainly slashers, is very high. Like I know like some of these reviews I've done recently, like The Mutilator 2, that had expectation kinda because Mutilator is one of my favorite slashers. The remake of Slumber Party Massacre was a disappointment because of the the stuff it took, the tone it took, the everything else. And like I said with the remake of Terror Train, it didn't bother me that much. I was more bored, and I thought it was pointless more than anything else. I much rather watch the Terror Train remake than those other two I mentioned, and I'd rather watch Terror Train 2 than all three of those movies. But that's not saying much. Um, the plot centers around the survivors of the remake going to another train party, but surprise, it's a true crime thing, which I talked about this in the Slumber Party Massacre review. I am tired of true crime stuff. I'm not going to go on about it, but my feelings is even though I watch a lot of fucked up horror movies, I literally have a Serbian film on Blu-ray uncut beside me right here. I'm not a prude, but when it comes to real people as entertainment, I don't like that. In my opinion, I don't want to cross that boundary, and I keep it that way. If you want to do that, that's fine. I don't judge you, but I think some of the obsession with true crime is getting out of hand. And this movie kind of has my sentiment, and it mentions that and parodies that. But it does it to the point where I almost hate that I have that stance with the characters because they're like idolizing these people that went through this tragedy. Though, again, this is a fake tragedy, but let's say the real Terror Train remake happened and this scenario happened. I could see this being an appeal for some fucking weirdos that want to get signatures from survivors of a killer and all that. But that's what the plot centers around. And then the killings start happening again. And this one, it you just kind of follow them around. Like some people are shady. There's a lot of red herrings in it. There was one red fucking herring. Like she might as well have been a lobster. She was so red herring. Um, but of course she wasn't, and it's just at least this one I could say more about. Like the kills were shittier. I don't know how you get less budget, but they try to go more over the top of the kill, which heavily relied on CGI. Which I can't stand that. Like I understand like if you want to do a practical effect and enhance it with CGI, I'm fine with that because we're just at that point now where it actually looks good. I remember the first time I saw stuff like that was like the Laid to Rest movies, those Robert Hill movies with Chrome Skull. Um, yeah, those did it very well. Yeah, I think even now the effects hold up from like 2009. They still hold up. Funny enough, I watched that on Christmas with my mom for the first time. That was a weird Christmas, but yeah, it was. But it wasn't like that. Like all the wounds were performed CGI. It was just they were horrible. And then the one practical effect they had, they didn't linger on it long. It was a shitty effect, but at least I give them credit for doing something practical. Um, the characters were so obnoxious, especially the true crime people. And like, there's one of the two of the survivors of the remake are like obsessed with this fame they got from it because they're some of the survivors. So like they're like live streaming and like there was a part where it's like scream like you just found Jonathan dead. Ah, and stuff like that. And it's just I know it's fake, but it was just, like if I know people would probably do this. That's the thing. Like it's exaggerated, but it's not far from the truth, and that's what annoys me about it. It just reminds me of like okay, where I work, we get a lot of eclectic people walking in from all sorts. And we used to sell stuff that's like true crime related and stuff like that, like from people that had true crime podcast and um just the people that buy it are just off. I don't know. Like my mom's really into true crime, but she's not obsessed over it. You know, like I just maybe it's the true crime thing that really turned me off about these characters because it's just uh I'm gonna drop that topic because I could just go on about that. But I mean, there were some funny moments. Like the guy that played the magician came back, even though in the remake it looked like he died, but apparently he survived. I don't know how he did. He got cut the fuck up. But he was probably the best character in the movie, and actually the lead Elena in both movies, the remake and the sequel, she actually does not do a bad job for what she's given. She does pretty good, and I'll give her that. She kind of plays it a very subtle sort of thing, like a very withdrawn character. And when she has to show emotion, she does it actually very well. She does look like a traumatized person in the second one, which I'll give her credit on that. She's not half-assing it. And the magician guy is actually really charismatic in this one and really funny. He does some good. He has some good one-liners at times. Uh, oh, and I want to mention this. This took me a while, but in the original one, this goes back to the remake. There's a running joke in the remake that the lead Elena's costume, nobody knows what it is. It's supposed to be a pirate, but everybody says basically it's a shitty attempt of a pirate. And I had asked my mom, I was like, what was Jamie Lee Curtis's character wearing in Prom Night, or not Prom Night, but Terror Train? And we had to look it up. It was a pirate. I never knew what she dressed up as because it was just kind of like a poofy shirt and like some like dark pants. But apparently it was a pirate. So the remake was making fun of the fact like she picked a shitty pirate costume and nobody knew what it was, which that's actually kind of clever. That's the one thing I'll give it. That was clever. But and then there's a lot of twists and turns in this, and like a lot of the survivors die. And it's just I don't know. It's mainly it's mainly a commentary on, like I said, the true crime thing and what people will do for internet fame or fame. It kind of, huh? Let me think. It kind of the killer in this movie. I mean, if you're gonna watch it, you're gonna watch it. If not, oh well. But I can't remember her name. But the killer in this movie, when it's revealed, she kind of has the attitude of like, um, of Emma Roberts from Scream 4. Uh, because it's kind of like she was killing to get famous because she wanted to be the next survivor of the Terror Train murder killings and get the fame because she was jealous of Elena's um like notoriety she got from it and how far she'll go to do that because everybody's obsessed with true crime. So, yeah, I mean and like I said, out of out of the three remakes, well, one was a legacy sequel, but like out of those three, I'd rather watch this out of any of those because this one didn't irritate me. The characters irritated me, but the whole thing didn't irritate me. And also, it was something different, and it was something that wasn't like there was no blueprint to work off of except because like I said, there was no sequel to the original Terror Train, so they had to do their own thing. Which I kind of wish there was a third one because I kind of want to see where it goes, but because it just kind of abruptly stops. Oh no, this one just had a lot going on, and it was more entertaining than the remake. It was kind of like how I like Texas Chainsaw the beginning better than way fucking better than Texas Chainsaw remake. I can't stand that movie, but I like the beginning just for the carnage and characters alone in it. It's kind of like that with this. Would I recommend any of them? Just as no, I wouldn't recommend any of them. But if you had to watch either, I'd say go watch the original and just keep it at that because you're not missing out on anything. There's nothing added to it. It's just kind of there. I think they had the name to Terror Train and thought, you know, it's cheap enough. Let's work two movies out of it. Now, I will say this it is a fully fledged second movie. It doesn't suffer from, like, the syndrome of, oh, we ran out of steam, so we're kind of just throwing shit at the wall. No, there actually is a full plot, like, lined out and everything. So I will give them that. They just didn't shit something out because they could. They actually attempted with this one. So with ambition alone, it's better than the remake. But yeah, that's all I got for this one, guys. Next time, maybe I don't do a remake. I do something else. But I just remember the Terror Train thing. I saw there's a second one. Thought I'd give you guys something. All right, see ya.